In this video, I'm going to take you on a game dev journey. I'll share a day of indie game development and give you a sneak peek at our progress so far. I hope you enjoy. So we need to rewind the clock a little bit. I've been working on my game Samarado for quite some time now, and some really awesome progress has been made. But my list of things to do to get that game finished is still quite long, and it's a ways out yet before it releases. Now, back at the end of the summer, Nikki and I hosted our very first game jam. We had a blast, and our little game Crop Pollution came in third in the jam. And we had so much momentum coming out of that jam, we figured, what if we just spend a couple of weeks fleshing out this game and actually release it on Steam, get a game out there, and then get back to Samarado. So that's exactly what we're doing. The game is already 90% of the way done. There's just a few more systems to be added into the game before I start polishing and bug fixing before the final release. So the main idea for Crop Pollution in the jam version was you purchase seeds, plant, grow, and harvest them so that you can sell them for more money to buy more seeds until you have enough fruit to evolve your crops and unlock a new seed that you can use, which you then sell for more money and has a higher resistance to the swarm that comes by once a day. Now, I already found that game loop to be satisfying and a little addicting, but the game lacked stuff to do outside of growing crops. So the idea was to add two more pillars to the game loop. We'll have crops and bugs and fish. It's the same idea for all three. Collect enough and you can unlock a new type of plant, fish, or bug. Now with the bugs and fish, you can catch them around the island rather than just purchasing them. So initially, when you run around the island, there's only level 1 bugs, for example. But if we collect enough, we can then get one of these guys and then release him into the wild. And now I can find him around the island as well. So after the jam was over, the first thing that I tackled with Crop Pollution was a save system. My daughter played the game and kind of rage quit when she got distracted and lost a lot of her crops, so I didn't want that to happen to anyone again. And next I buffed up the inventory system. The jam version just had this bar down here and you couldn't even move or swap items around. It was really basic. So I added the ability to do that, as well as these chests for some extra storage space. I fixed a lot of bugs and added some quality of life improvements. No more hand cramps because you can actually hold down the buy or sell buttons instead of individual clicks dozens of times. I changed the player and then added in the bugs and the fish and all of the systems needed to make that work, which brings us to today. And actually, before I get started, I just have one final thing to add from what I was working on yesterday. And okay, I'll probably get rid of the screens because that'll get annoying really quick. Anyways, today my goal is to up the visual variety of the game by adding in a weather system. Currently there's a day-night cycle which gives you some variety, but that is it. So with that, I got started. So inevitably, whenever I work on things like this, I always end up adding a second camera set to perspective so that I can actually have some parallax effects with the particles. So that's where I started, just some nice dust floating around. Some of them have little trails because Ocarina of Time had particles like that and I really liked it. But this is just background ambient particles. Now it was time to actually crank out some code for the weather system itself. So I got the basics done in there and I needed another particle system to test it out with. And this is the part of the day that I got stuck on for almost 2 hours. So my problem was I just wanted to have some little cloud shadows roll by. It's very, very simple, except for the fact that the freaking alphas blend together when they're stacked and it looks really stupid. And I'm okay with making shaders, but despite my best efforts, I was not able to do this on my own. So 2 hours went by and I was literally moments away from giving up on this and just working on something else when I came across an article that suggested I can use the baked-in default UI material. So I tried that. Changed a couple of numbers, checked the alpha clipping box, and that was really, really close. So I did modify the UI shader just to give me some finer control with the alpha clipping, and just like that, it was working beautifully. And after that, my test went really well. The weather system chooses a random weather pattern at a certain time of day. You can see some nice little clouds popping in, and they work with the fast forward controls as well. Okay, so next, while it's not technically weather, I want the ability to have certain particles play only at nighttime as well because I wanted to add some fireflies that have a chance of spawning in. So we just add in some effects here, set the chance of them spawning in, and now sometimes those will actually play at nighttime, but not every single day. So with that, the basic system has all of the functionality that I want. So now I just need to actually add in some more weather into the game. So next I worked on some fog, and this one is quite nice. I've learned a few new tricks since the last time I made fog. This is purely shader based. It's just a square that's attached to the camera like this, and we have lots of control over how the fog looks. Plus, when the fog rolls in, I lerp the saturation down just slightly to give it more of a gray day vibe. All right, next, the whole reason I started the weather system in the first place was for rain. Keeping your crops watered in this game is a fair bit of work, and while I have added things like sprinklers into the game, don't worry, this is just placeholder art by the way, I still wanted there to be occasional days where watering was completely automated. So rain, naturally. Now, the particles themselves were fairly easy to make. You've got your raindrops coming down, and there's a small chance of having these little water splashes and ripples on the ground as well. The direction that the rain falls is actually within this range here, and it's chosen at random each time it starts. So here's one, and here's another one. So it's different every time, which I think is really cool. Now, the lighting with my day-night cycle is all handled through gradients, but I wanted that toned down on rainy days, so that gets swapped out with this much more dull one. And I decreased the saturation even more on rainy days, which is pretty noticeable when it actually starts up. Oh, and also, yes, it does wet any dirt that you've dug up. And now finally, I wanted a windy day as well. So for this one, we've just got little wind particles, some loop around, some don't, and there's some leaves that float around as well. What I like about this is I recently discovered global shader properties, which until recently I had never heard of. And this made it very easy to increase the wind intensity on my trees when the windy day weather starts up, which I think is really cool. And it all takes care of itself now. At 0.270833, or as literally anyone else calls it, 6:30 a.m., we choose a new weather for the day based on these chances here. And at 7 p.m., we choose some nighttime specific effects based on their chances. And this weather system here was the last thing that I needed in order to get a Steam page set up, because different weather makes for much nicer screenshots. This game is cozy, it's fun, and it's a little addicting, and if that sounds like your jam, then I'd like to invite you to give it a wishlist on Steam. This will be out soon, so you will not have long to wait, and I hope you've enjoyed this little window in our dev life. And I just want to say thank you if you drop a like and comment, or if you've already wishlisted Crop Pollution on Steam. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.